I was having a bit of a dance there. Hello, how are you? And welcome to our webinar. I can see we've already got people from Finland, people from Norway, New York. A big welcome to you all. So today's webinar is all about Designed for Impact, a complete walkthrough of the ThingLink Scenario Builder. Hi to those joining from South Africa, from the UK, all welcome, Italy, California, excellent. So as usual, a huge welcome to you all. We're delighted that we've had so many people sign up for this. Over 550 people have signed up. So yes, good morning to you wherever you are joining us from. I'm delighted that I'm not going to be on my own. I'm going to be joined by Ivan and Dee, who I'll introduce in a short moment. As usual, you'll get the slides after the webinar, and they've got all the links in, and we've really gone to town on these slides. There's so many links in them. So every time you see a blue button in the corner of the slide, you'll be able to click on it. We love your questions. We get such good engagement on these webinars, and it's because people do put their questions in the chat. They do say hello, and we do love to answer your questions as well. So no question is silly. We try to make sure we answer as much as we can. And of course, we couldn't do that without the help of the wonderful Ivan from our support team. Hi, Ivan, how are you?
Hello, pretty good. As Louise mentioned, we'll be going through a lot today, so don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ivan. And you have actually put together a really helpful support page for people, and it's linked on this slide here. So when people get the slides after the webinar, feel free to click on those links and you'll see all of the questions and answers that Ivan's put together. But you don't need to wait. Pop them in the chat today if anything springs to mind. And if you've got any good examples too, please put those in the chat. We love your inspiration. So Ivan, I'm going to send you back to the green room to be there to answer and put on the screen anyone's comments. And we'll bring you out on the end as well. And also, if there's anything that I miss, I know you keep me right. Please feel free to jump back on the screen and add anything in. Thanks ever so much, Ivan.
Yep.
And also today, I am joined by the wonderful Dee. Dee, how are you?
I am great. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Excited to chat a little bit about our scenario builder and scenario-based learning today.
And Dee, where are you joining us from if we can't tell?
Yeah, I am from sunny Colorado, and it's been nice and sunny lately.
It's amazing. It's been really sunny here as well in Scotland. We've had the best start to summer I think we've ever known. And I can see already that there are people probably nodding in agreement. David from Edinburgh there. We've got Kate, who's one of our ThingLink certified trainers, joining us from Nottingham. Thanks, Kate, for joining. Lots of other people joining. Please do say hello and where you are in the chat as well. So we have actually done one of these webinars before, haven't we, Dee? And it went very well, but we wanted to come back and give people a walkthrough about the new scenario builder, which we've just launched. Do you want to just give us a quick overview of what it's like in the new scenario builder?
Absolutely. And this is scenario-based learning has been a topic of conversation in the L&D world for quite some time. And we're seeing more tools around it now. And this is going to be one of them. Scenario Builder allows you to create all different types of experiences, whether they're linear and you just want to go through a step-by-step process, but have your learners go through it in that specific sequence. You can build a linear scenario. You could build a micro learning experience or choose your own adventure so that learners feel in control of their learning environment. Or you can do a true scenario-based learning where your choices have consequences and you go down a different path depending on what you choose. And then finally, one of the favorites, of course, an escape room style where learners have to, get questions right or get a code right, whatever it might be to complete a course or escape the room.
And these aren't just kind of theoretical things that people are coming up with. We're seeing these being used in action. I know that you and I, Dee, were in London where we met with the NHS, and they were showcasing examples where they're really helpful in onboarding staff, for example, who are coming to work in a hospital.
Absolutely. The use cases are endless, right? So if you're talking in that environment, I mean, even I think it's something as simple as diagnosing a patient, being able to walk through that in a digital environment and be able to diagnose a theoretical patient and understand the symptoms to look for. Like, that's a great healthcare example, but it can be used in so many different ways depending on your field. It really does. Think about it in manufacturing, being able to walk through a machine malfunction or an alert signal, whatever it might be. Being able to walk through that environment in a scenario-based learning, it's very valuable.
And I know that the last time that we presented this, Dee, there was still quite a lot of kind of work that was required in designing your structure, especially for scenario-based learning. But the big news is, of course, that you can do this now in the ThingLink Scenario Builder. And I really want to give a shout out to Saif and the rest of the dev team. I know some of them are on the webinar watching today, but this has been made possible through everyone's feedback. We love your feedback. So if you've got any comments, you want to put them in the chat, you want to give a shout out to our ThingLink team, go ahead. But this is why this product has been designed directly from people's feedback. So yes, keep them coming. So I thought it'd be really helpful before we go and have a look, Dee, as if we called out some of the reasons that we know people love using this, because now we're seeing it being used in so many different varied ways. This isn't just anecdotal. This is us checking off all of the pain points that we see it solving for people. And I thought we could just summarize them in one slide, 4 key reasons. And if I go first with the first one there, and this has just been such an important point, that people are creating, 360 virtual tours. They're realizing that if you want to make things, really relevant and relatable for your learners, that it needs to be in context. If you've got a fire alarm going off, it needs to be the right fire alarm that people hear. It needs to be not a tick box exercise. It needs to be impactful and be really realistic to your context. And people are realizing that if they're creating these kinds of assets, that they can use them in lots of different ways. So impactful training, that's my one. You go next, Dee.
No, and also to piggyback off that before we get into simplifying the complex, is you're telling a story. In any scenario-based learning, even if it is a step-by-step process, you're telling a story. So I think it's just so important to have the characters even correct and make sure that it's all relatable, and that'll essentially make it impactful. Now, second here is simplifying the complex. And what does that really mean? Well, it means ditching kind of that long-winded instruction type of training that no one really reads, and on it, we all learn different. So instead, we make the content a little bit more bite-sized and easy to access, easy to follow, and actually memorable. Most importantly, it's going to be truly accessible for everyone. So it's really breaking up these complex ideas into smaller chunks that are going to be contextual.
And you mentioned accessibility there as well. So the accessibility features that come as standard with ThingLink are built into the scenario player, which is the immersive reader, the web view, but also this kind of multimodal way of engaging with the content. And I know if you're a regular on these webinars, we've talked about that extensively, but it just makes such a difference. So the next point that I've got there is about being scalable, efficient, and effective. And it's not just about making the inaccessible accessible, but if you've got lots of different sites and you want to have people who originally would have learned on site, you just can't do that anymore because you can't make sure it's open, or the travel costs of getting around to places. So a lot of companies are realizing they can scale by having it available on any device, access it anywhere, but it is of that actual place. So it's a really nice way of being able to make sure that your content can be used by everyone, especially when it's not economically viable to get to places. And we've got a really nice case study coming up, and I'm going to link to a webinar later on with Mitsubishi Electric in the UK that did just that. They were able to make it more efficient, more effective. They got more bang for their buck, really, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Well, and finally here, it's a safe way to fail. I don't know if anyone's been on prior webinars, but I've talked a little bit about the research from Harvard, Amy C. Edmondson, on failure-based learning. And the idea is that it actually drives more retention, knowledge retention. You're going to remember things. Think about a child putting their hand on a hot stove. They're never going to do it again because they learned that, hey, that hurts. And the same goes with any type of learning. It's all about giving people, when it's in a e-learning environment, that safe place to fail, because that's where real learning happens. They can practice procedures, make mistakes, and actually see the consequences without the real world risk. So once they get into the real world, they're less likely to make that mistake, and they can try it as many times as they want and understand the consequences in any path that they take.
And be able to reclaim a situation as well.
Exactly.
And we look at an example a bit later on in the webinar where, you know, you can realize that there might not be a wrong answer or a right answer in some situations. You just have to make the best decision that you can in the situation and hopefully reclaim it. So
absolutely. Yeah. Recovery is important because we all make mistakes. So how do you recover when things go wrong?
And that's such a great skill to have some resilience. And if you can practice it, it's going to boost your confidence as well. Okay, let's go on to have a look at the new ThingLink suite of tools, which we've got for 2025. So for those of you that have been on the webinars before, that know and love ThingLink, you'll know that there are 4 really great tools in your suite. The first being the original, the OG, the GOAT, the ThingLink Multimedia Editor. And of course, with this, even as a standalone solution, you can create those interactive assets, create your virtual tours, create interactive resumes, create digital classrooms, create so many different assets with that multimedia editor. And that's a really good place to start if you're just starting out with ThingLink. Have a go, use some of the new AI tools that will help you get started. We've tried to make it easy, no matter if you haven't got any base media assets. You can use some of ours from our library. You can create some with a little bit of AI, or you can bring your own to make it really on point for your context. We've now got the scenario builder, which we're going to go through a little bit later, in a few seconds. And we've also got our XR headset apps. So that's for the Apple Vision Pro, Pico, MetaQuest, whether it's high-end, right the way down to the kind of entry-level type headsets you might see in your schools. We've also got the AR app, which is where you can, with your phone, download the ThingLink AR Viewer app, and with a simple short code, your viewers or participants can hover over the actual thing that you've made a ThingLink from, and the hotspots will appear on their phones. Great for art galleries, creating kind of secret escape rooms in classrooms. Lots of ideas there. But of course, the ThingLink Scenario Builder is why we're here. And when you get these slides, you'll be able to click and see some great examples. And I want to give a shout out to Andreas, who I know is on the call, because I'm showing a lot of his examples, because he just seems to really make them so polished, but all done with the ThingLink Scenario Builder. So this is a really nice example where you've got some mandatory training that's everybody in the company's got to be done. Somebody in HR needs to know that everybody's done this. But of course, there's a requirement to make it really accessible. And the reason I love this so much is because it's a great example of, you might have had to watch a video of this. You might get a PDF of this, but also you might get that kind of freeze, you know, when you have to do this. So how can you practice this, go over and over it again, so that you've put people in the best possible chance if they ever need to have, you know, an opportunity where they've got to give someone CPR, what do they do? And with this one, you can see we've got this nice overview, and that's a little video that's going to play in that tag just to show what the AI tool does. You've got the opening airway there. You've got these tags and a little bit of text on there. Click on the arrow through. Welcome to CPR Basics. Of course, this has got the immersive reader built in here. So all of this text is going to open up with immersive reader so that you can make sure that you've got text to speech. You can translate this into over 80 different languages and have that text to speech on any language too. So all of these features are built in for you. If I click on the arrow once more, you can see that I can select a topic to learn. And this is what we mean by the micro learning experience, where you've got the themes or the topics which are built into these beautifully laid out pathways. So people, as you said, Dee, they might not want to learn things in one particular order. It might make sense for them to understand, you know, the compressions, the foundations of CPR first. But also, if people are doing this as a refresher, they don't want to start there. They might go straight through to rescue breathing again. So you might want to, you know, have this as an asset. Why would you do training and only do it once on such an important topic? Why wouldn't you just have this as a reminder on your phone, maybe a bookmark on the company browser? It's there ready for people as well. But the point with this is that you've built in your 360 environments. You're using the tags. You could have these flash sequentially so that you can only progress once you've clicked them in sequence. Someone's asking me about African languages there. So I'm just going to go back into one of these. Click on the immersive reader. If you click on the little book icon there and click on translate, if you click on that down arrow, it'll give you all of the languages that you can translate this into. So at the moment, I can see Afrikaans is there. If there are any other languages that you want to see in there, I would suggest you go through and have a look so that you can see all of the languages. But yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. There's also another translation tool, which I'll come on to in a short while. But we want you to have the comfort and confidence that immersive reader is baked into that particular scenario. Going back to our nice slides, because I think you can see that this micro-learning experience is one way in which you can deliver and build this with scenario-based learning. But let's have a look at the other ways in which you can do this. So I'm just going to click forward there and take you to the kind of ways in which you might want to think about scenario-based learning. And you highlighted it earlier, Dee. So it's not just about having a path, which you could say is almost personalized because you're picking the topic.
Yes.
Scenario-based learning is a much more engaging way of putting the people in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. I think what I've heard from some organizations building these types of scenario-based learning is when they have a true story. And what I mean by that is I've heard of organizations using real people who work at the organization, of course, with their permission, and using them as an example. So there's an organization who told me a little bit about, hey, there's this person at this org, and they were kind of known for messing things up. They went to him and said, hey, can we use you in a story? And of course, he was a good sport about it. And they were able to create a whole story of like, hey, this is this person, let's go through it. And see, you know, how would he handle this mistake or correct this mistake? And it really put people, they enjoyed the training so much because it was obviously they could relate to it. They had fun with it, but they ultimately learned a lot more because they were able to put themselves in, you know, that person's shoes, which I thought that was a great example as well of storytelling.
And it's really interesting because I was talking about this with some educators, and they were saying that on Netflix there's actually a program and you can use a remote control to choose what ending you go down. I think it's something with Bear Grylls, and I know when I was growing up you had Goosebumps. So this kind of pick your own path adventure style is really relevant for being able to explore different choices and the outcomes or the consequences of those choices. So in actually starting to plan this now, you can see that flow of context, challenge, choice, consequence, rinse and repeat. But then making these kind of structured branches is something that's actually been a little bit tricky for designers. And we actually put into our guidance a little bit more exploration around this. So it really shows how you can build on making things relevant and relatable. The challenge is something which is a real world problem that someone's going to encounter in their role, what the choices are, what the consequences are, whether that's, it's a good outcome or a bad outcome or a different outcome than was anticipated. But importantly, the opportunity to contemplate or review, reflect, get some feedback, because we know when that's when those kind of penny dropping moments hit. So that's why we've built our scenario builder, to take account of these kinds of processes. And we've got a really nice example here to show you. And it's again another one that our team has put together. And this is mandatory training again. And it's more about what you do in your situation. And fire safety, health and safety, it's a hot topic, if you excuse the pun. Didn't mean to make a joke there. But on this one, we've also added in some time pressure. So we've got a little time that you've got to make your decision. So here we've got our context again, we've got our introduction. It's a learning activity. So we've got an objective there about knowing when to evacuate. You can see the timer is going down. And when I click on my arrow there, we are now in the scenario. We've got a few flames coming up there. We've got the situation that the fire has broken out in the office. Your task is to navigate your way out. The immersive reader's built in there. And I'm just going to come back to the original question there. We found out the immersive reader supports Afrikaans, Amharic, Kiswahili, and Malagasy, as well as other different dialects of Arabic. So I'm pleased that we've got a bit more information for you there. If I click on my forward button there, we are now in the office. This has been recreated with a bit of AI. Quite interestingly enough, you don't need to have high-end graphic skills. If you want to edit a 360, you can do this in Canva. You can have flames coming over it. We've also got some more information here. Do you think it's safe to reach for the fire blanket? Yes, I can do it. Don't put yourself in danger. So there's already a little bit of information on there. If I click the forward button now, we've got how do I react? I turn the fire alarm on, and I think we can hear the fire alarm, and it's actually the fire alarm that's right for that office. Because imagine if you had a different sounding fire alarm, or you didn't realize it was a practice. Lots of information there. So this is a really good example of scenario-based learning. But imagine if you are, someone who's responsible for this kind of training, having a micro-learning experience which builds a foundation level of knowledge. And then you've got the scenario, you've got those two different types of learning experiences together. You can really be impactful because you're giving people two different types of experiences to learn. Right. I know that we are going on. Sorry, Dee.
I would just want to say, most importantly, I mean, if you think about this in terms of some of the mandatory training that we've all taken in the past, this is so much more engaging. When you're thinking about that learning experience, it's rather than watching a video and answering some questions, you're putting yourself into that real life situation. So I just want to just focus in on the engagement that you will see if you create some pieces like this.
And of course, you'll be able to, see the deeper learning analytics as well if you wanted to, and we'll cover those. Camilla's saying, I love your examples. Can you import some of these into your account? We'd be very happy to give you the links if you want to clone them. I'm sure that we can work something out as to getting the other links in some of the examples as well. So thank you, Camilla, for that feedback. Okay, so now I'm just going to head on back over to my slides, and we are going to take a look at the fresh new interface, which was launched earlier this year. Another big shout out to Andreas. And if you click on this link on this slide, it will take you to this really nice ThingLink where Andreas has put lots of different hotspots so that you can understand that your cat's just jumped behind you. So you can see some of the new features in the new ThingLink interface. So do have an explore of that. So there's more AI, which has been added as well. We are currently running some beta programs with some further co-pilots. So yeah, there's lots more other integrations that are coming in there. When it comes to the ThingLink Scenario Builder, where do you get started? So a really good place to start is just to have a little bit of a sketch as to what you want to do. Now, we know that ideation, it's a bit like choice paralysis. How do you get started? Do you start with a pen and paper? Do you start with, a kind of Post-its? That's absolutely fine to do that if you want to do something to get started. But we'll show you how the Scenario Builder can give you a little bit of a leg up. It can take the heavy lifting out of that process as well. It's a really good idea to think about what supporting visuals you've got, what assets you've already got in your account. And I'm just going to show you that if I go into my ThingLink account, in preparation for what we're going to be looking at, which is a barista setting, I've already, got this. I might have a 360 I've already got of my environment. Of course, this isn't my home office or my local cafe, but have a think about what you've got. You might already have a little video. You might have even got a 3D model that you want to use. All of these assets are so valuable when you're planning out what you want to do. Another helpful tip is have a folder that you've got all of your assets in as well. It's really helpful if you've got everything in that place. You can en masse change your privacy settings, but I'm also going to show you a way in which you can do that a bit later on when you want to come to share. But great tips, have a folder with everything in. And of course, if you have got a folder that you're working with, you can also share this with your colleagues so that you can collaborate not only on the assets in your folder, but you'll be able to collaborate on building the scenario together. So really helpful there just to think about, what it's going to look like, what assets that you've already got, and also how you can then start to build. I thought we could use the nice theme of coffee. Who doesn't love their coffee? Have you got your coffee ready there, Dee? Yeah, I'm a total coffee lover, drink it by the bucket. But the context I want you to think about is if you are in your cafe and you maybe be a cafe owner and you want to teach your future baristas a little bit about what it's like to work in your cafe, but you also want to give them some basics. And I've got the PDFs if anybody wants to play along with me, or after the webinar, we shall give you the resources to do this. So I'm going to go into my ThingLink Scenario Builder here. And the first thing you're going to do is click onto the scenarios. And you'll see here that there's version 1 and version 2. If you're new to Scenario Builder or new to ThingLink, then you'll only see version 2. Version 1 has been deprecated, but you won't lose your scenarios. You can view them, but you can't edit them, but you can easily convert them into the new Scenario Builder 2.0. Okay, so I'm going to click on my version 2 there, and I'm going to click create a scenario, and I'm going to give my scenario name a test name, and I'm just going to do brewing my career, because this is all going to be about working as a barista. So you'll get to this interface, and you can see now that we've got create with AI, and we've also got the ability to create a blank scenario from scratch, which you can do. And of course, for many people, that's a great way to start. But today I'm going to start with create with AI. Now, the context for my barista training that I'm going to do is that I'm a barista, I'm working in my coffee shop. It's going to be the orders are starting to pile in. And what's the worst thing that can happen if you're working in the coffee shop and the customers are piling up? They all want an espresso, or they want some kind of style. My espresso machine breaks down. Now, what I've already got here is that I have put together a PDF that I would hand out to my staff, which is what to do if there's a critical incident in my coffee shop. So this is the espresso machine is failing. So I've already got this as a PDF to download. Now, I thought it'd be quite fun that I'm going to try and create a scenario which is from scratch. So let's go back into my scenario here, and I'm going to describe my learning experience, which I've put into here, which is to create a simple branching scenario. The context and the challenge is the shift lead at a busy cafe on a Saturday morning, line out the door, customers are ordering espresso, the espresso machine powers off and it flashes an unfamiliar error code. So I've just set a little bit of context for the scenario builder, and I'm going to click continue. I'm not uploading any particular files at all. And it's going to ask me what I want to create. I want to create a scenario-based learning activity. This is what we didn't have on our other webinar, which is just so exciting. So this is really taking out the heavy lifting for people. I'm going to click continue there, and it's already in seconds come back with my learning objectives and content areas that it wants to cover. And I'm going to hit the create button, and it's going to map out my scenario structure for me. Now, I didn't even give it my boring PDF here, so we can see what it's going to come up with.
Yeah, and this is great because, again, if you have no materials, if you just have an idea and you just want to see how it maps out your idea, it's a great way to just start from scratch. Like, hey, I want to create something like this. Give it to AI, let AI, get you 80% of the way there. Let it give you a structure that you can then go in and edit. And obviously it's going to take a little bit to load here just because it is AI. And then I always like to say, remember, with anything AI, you're going to be as good as your prompt. So think about, how detailed you want to be within those prompts that you enter in as well.
So you said there, absolutely. It's really kind of quick and it's amazing, but it is going to be that leg up. It's not expecting to get everything completely right, but oh my goodness, it's pretty impressive already. I've got a start point. I've got my learning objectives. Let's just have a look there. So it's come up with my learning objectives. I can convert that to a ThingLink scene, or I can click the save button. It's just given me a whole whiteboard of options and structures. The branches are all there. It's already got that. But what about if I give it my prompt and I give it a PDF? Let's have a go at that. So I'm going to go back into my scenarios again, click the create my scenario. I've got my name ready. I'm going to call it Barista Skills, and it's a problem brewing, and I'm going to click the create button. I'm going to click create with AI again. I've got exactly the same prompt, which I'm going to paste into my description. And now I'm going to upload my file, which is my coffee shop PDF, which you've seen here. So it's just this PDF I've downloaded, and I'm uploading that into that dialogue, and we're going to see what it's going to come to if I put it all together. Hit the continue button. Again, I'm going to choose my scenario-based learning, and there we have it. So it's coming up really quickly, my content areas, my learning outcomes, and I'm hit the create button, and it's going to map out that structure for me. And then I'm going to start being able to put in my blocks. I'm going to be able to start using some of the assets that I've already created that you saw from that folder. It's integrating quizzes and assessments, so it's going to put in some quizzes for me as well at the end. And there we have it. And it's come up with something which is spot on. This is exactly what I wanted. It's got my start point, my learning objectives, the scenario context, my branching as to what I do, my consequences, and couldn't be better. This is amazing. At the top here, you can see that I've got my normal view. I can put a little micro view there if I wanted to. You've got forward and back buttons. You've got this handy kind of snap to, which is just going to put everything in the right order. Ivan, I can't remember the name that we gave that one, but you can see that everything there is just ready for me. At the top here, what's really helpful is that you can preview this on devices as well. So we can have a look at what it looks like on a phone, what it looks like on, say, an iPad. I'll just come out of there. Here we can manage our access. Now, this is really, really cool because, of course, if you've got sensitive topics you don't want shared out with your company, good Scottish word that, out with, but you know what I mean, you can set the visibility so it all stays within the organization, Dee. And I know that a lot of the people you work with, they only want people within their organization to see it.
Absolutely. And also think about this as collaborating on the editing. Maybe there's two of you working and creating the scenario. We can give access or editing access to certain individuals as well.
Amazing. So you can add people by viewer, editor, or administrator of that scenario. So I just click done there, and I'm going to set this to anyone with the link and click done. Then you've got your settings here, and this has got a new feature which is coming along the line for some folks if they've got access to this. I know that I've got access to this, but you can have the forward and back button showing. You've got points if you want to add goals in there. You can toggle on the advanced tracking, and you'll mention this later on, Dee. Mm-hmm. This is where you can also add a timer in, so we can change it so that there's time pressures added in. There's also an end screen so that we can change it and make sure that people get big congratulations. They can restart the scenario if they want to as well, and have a results screen so that they can see how well they've done. This is super interesting. Life cycles. I don't know if you want to mention this, because this has come about from people who only want it available for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're thinking about compliance or mandatory training, sometimes you schedule it out to be sent and completed by a certain date. So we want to revoke access during those types of training situations, because we need it done by a specific date. So then we can revoke the access, or maybe it's something very sensitive that we need to just get out and get back really quickly. A lot of different reasons why that expiration date counts. Also for versioning, which we do also have, depending on, what version of the training did they take? Did we edit it? So on and so forth as well.
And that's huge for high stakes kind of assessments as well, because then you know that people haven't redone it afterwards and they've got a snapshot in time.
Exactly.
Of how that's been done. Excellent. So we've gone over some of the basics there, but let's have a look at the blocks in a bit more detail. So if I go back into my presentation here, I've got a slide here which is get to know the scenario builder blocks. So these are the basic building blocks of how you link all your ThingLinks together. So you've got a media block, a text block, a branching block, and you can always have a question block. And of course, these are where someone's got to get something right in order to progress. So they're like gates. So that's where you know that people have got to do something in order to get there. If you click on this lovely link here that you can see I've put on your slide, it'll give you a much greater walkthrough here. And this is another one of Andreas's lovely description ThingLinks, so that you can see all of the component parts in a lot more detail. And you'll get that on the slides when you have a go with them. So back in my ThingLink now, I'm just going to show you some nice ways in which you can build out this scenario that we've made, literally just with a prompt and a little PDF there. So I'm going to add in a new block, and the first one I'm going to put in is a media block. Now what's great is that you can either upload or select a scene from your folder. So here I'm going to have my little video intro. I might want to stick that there, and I can actually then have this come from the start, and I can have that go to that next block, and I can snap it. So now we've got our start point. You go into that video ThingLink and then go into the learning objectives. So that's one way in which you can add in, but we didn't need to just embed media from my ThingLink account. If I click on the media again, I can put an embed code there of anything. It could be a YouTube clip. It could be, I don't know, another image from somewhere. It could be a Google form. It could be a Vimeo clip. It could be anything. So remember that when we embed, it's like the embed tag. You can embed pretty much anything with embed code. And if you're using new Canva with code, you can even embed your Canva projects in there as well, which we've tested out. So just to know that you can embed from your account or from an external tool. And I'm going to click save there as well. There we go. So that's that one done. So if I go to the new block again, you can see that I can also generate questions. So it's going to generate question blocks for me automatically. It can suggest branches for me automatically. It can also write a recap for me automatically, which is just amazing. This is a text block. So we're going to go into this one and have a look at it as it was one that was created through that workflow. And here you can see that at the moment, if I just click cancel on that, I've got these little icons above here, and I'm going to click on the preview there and show you what that looks like if I was just going to use it as is. But of course, I can edit this and do lots more things with it. So we've got some rich text functions there. I can put hyperlinks in. I could edit this and make those learning objectives a little bit more in order. If I wanted to, I could improve the writing. I can even suggest a matching image, and the AI is going to create an image for me to go in there. So I'm just going to click save there again now. And if I go to preview that, hey, we've got that block with the learning objectives and the text, and AI's generated an image for me. So I didn't even need to have that ThingLink like that if I didn't want to. But what is even better, and I'm going to demonstrate with this one here, and we go into the edit, we've got that little bit of context there. But if I click convert to ThingLink scene, this is going to create an interactive ThingLink just from that text that was in there. Now, taking my life in my hands, I'm not sure what's going to come up here, but I bet it's going to be good. But now you can see I can edit the scene, and there I've got a ThingLink there, which has got suggestions of other things I can add in there. It's got, other little points about what I'm going to do there. But also that ThingLink now is going to be in my account, so I can use that. But what I can also do, if I just click the done there, remember that if I go back into my media, I can see that ThingLink's there. I can move that into that folder if I want to as well. But I can also just edit that as a normal ThingLink by replacing the background. I can replace anything. So it's given me all of the options. Creating a ThingLink from a text prompt, I mean, we couldn't have even dreamt that, a few years ago when I first joined ThingLink. So just amazing that we've been able to add those in. So
if you think, just really quickly to add in here, Louise, just think about what a time saver that this can be when we're talking about creating a scenario. And if you're using, traditional tools to do this, it can take a lot of time. And maybe you don't have the media assets. Maybe right now you want to use AI, but then you want to replace them with your own images later on, edit the text, whatever that might be. Or this is a huge time saver for organizations or educators who want to create a scenario-based learning experience. It can just go from, again, that ideation from a simple prompt to something really incredible.
So good. So I know that we've got other examples to show you, but I just wanted to show you that in all of those, it's coming up with the option to create AI to go in there as well. Here we've got our consequences, we've got conclusions, and it goes through. And I did have another one prepared just in case. And here is my other example, which is exactly the same process. I use that PDF and that prompt. And with this one, what's really exciting is if I go to preview this on devices, here I've got my opening time, I've got my 3D one, I'm bringing all my assets in, I've got a problem brewing, and I've got my time limited step in there. So it's time pressured, the machine's broken. What do? You tell the customers that it's not working. If I did that, then half of my customers have already left. It's just a terrible situation. It then pings me back to the problem. It's still not working. I call for help from my colleague. It's the right answer. And I've got happy customers. And then it's given me a little test there as well. And there was another branch there that if you got it wrong, again, that one customer went on social media and told the entire world that your coffee shop was broken and never to go there again. And I could have made that even bigger with, trying to reclaim the situation, because any publicity is good publicity, right? So I think that's pretty impressive. But I thought another good example would be now as if I showed you the other way of using this with a PDF. So now I am going to create a scenario, and I'm just going to call this milk pours and serves. And I'm going to hit the create button and get back to that screen. And I've got a second PDF that I've created, which is Milk Techniques, a training guide. So this is a PDF which has got lots of images on it. It's only 6 pages long. And I've downloaded that PDF and we're going to upload it into the scenario builder with our Create with AI. I'm just going to upload that document, my Milk Techniques brew guide. And my learning experience here is going to be really simple. It's a micro learning experience on the different serves. There we go. You can see that that's uploaded, ready. I'm going to click the continue button, analyzing the document structure, extracting the key concepts just from that PDF, which you're more than welcome to have a go with. And this time I'm going to choose the branched rather than scenario-based learning. It's got my learning objectives, it's got my content areas. I'm going to click the create button and it's just going to do that for me. And I've tested this out a few times and it is phenomenal. I mean, 80% we said was a good kind of benchmark of how close to what you want to create you're going to get it. I know this is only going to get better in the future, and in the future there might be a way to extract images, that kind of thing. So some tips there, you know, if you have got lots of PDFs, think about, here we go, it's built that. We'll have a look at and open that in a short moment. But, you know, if you have got images, why not create ThingLinks with them, those visual assets that you've got, and then let this do the heavy lifting with the organization. So let's just have a look at that. We've got the kind of context for it. Welcome to the world of latte. Choose a topic, role of protein in milk, steps to properly foam, mastering latte art techniques. And you just know that if I come out of this and then I went into that learning objectives there, let's go into this one here and edit it. You can see there, I can even convert it to a ThingLink scene. So if I am the head of my cafe, I've created for my trainee barista an easy way, interactive way, an accessible way, memorable, I can scale, all these things just from a PDF. And there you can see that I've already got this amazing ThingLink all about. I knew how to do that. Maybe I should have a go at that later on. Dee, wow, we've covered so much there. A couple of extra things that we really wanted to go through with people about, you know, we've talked about adding timers there, adding that time pressure in, which is really important. Sharing it, we've talked about that. One way in which you can check is to use an incognito window. That's my hot tip. If you want to share your creations, your scenarios, you can share them by embed. Actually, I'm just going to show people because I think that's really important. If I come back to this one, click on the share, you can embed it on a website. You can share it by link, view it in VR. And you can synchronize your privacy settings all in one go. So that's another thing. Remember that if one of your scenes is set to private, you wouldn't be able to share that publicly. But Dee, that just sets me up really nicely for you to talk about analytics and also the integrations.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, you can embed this in a website, but you can also embed this in your LMS. So you can embed it to where you're already delivering the training. And from there, if you need to capture those individual learning analytics, so we can see, you know, what path did learners take the most? Where did we potentially see some struggle? How, and again, you saw the timers, but you can also add scores. So we can also see how learners scored on questions, and we can deliver that data via either LTI or XAPI into your LMS or wherever you're delivering your learning. So I always like to say is we play nice in the sandbox.
And someone's asked a really important question there about, can you see who's completed your training? And you can.
Absolutely. Yes. We want to make sure that they have, you know, a learner account so that we can attribute that data so we know who's taking the training. And then from there, absolutely, we can see who's completed it, how they performed as well, and get the analytics that we need? You know, is this a scenario where we need to fix our training a little bit because maybe it's a little bit confusing? Or do we see that there are individuals in our organization who are struggling in a certain area? Do we need more learning around that specific topic because we're getting a lot of people stuck or making the wrong decision in this tree or matrix that we're creating? So you're able to identify those skill gaps, identify, you know, additional learning needs as well.
That's incredible, because it's also going to identify the gaps in your training.
Exactly.
What's missing. Yeah, absolutely superb. And we've mentioned about sharing it, but also don't forget that, you know, it's not just about sharing, it's how you share it and people engage with your learning. And remember, this might be on a phone. More people are using mobile phones to access their training. They don't have maybe a laptop per employee. But if you're working in the classroom, you could have this as a class activity. If you've got an interactive projector or panel, people could interact with it. But also, it'll work in immersive rooms. Most immersive rooms, there's probably some differences there. But with VR headsets,
Yes,
we know that this is going to work with the new landing page, which is how you could build a sort of YouTube style playlist. And if you click on this one, it'll actually take you to, this is a demo page, but you can actually build playlists and then add in your ThingLinks or your scenarios. And this is how you would share this with, say, a Meta Quest, and your scenarios will work with Meta Quest as well as, you know, high-end Apple Vision Pro.
Absolutely. And I want to note that being able to create a scenario for VR is something that prior to ThingLink could have taken months to create from scratch, or you'll hire someone to create it. Now you can just create your own, like you would deliver it on a desktop and deliver that in a headset. So it's very cool to be able to do this and be able to share it via VR.
And imagine if you mixed and matched and you did CPR in like a headset, and you had pass through, and then you had another mannequin that you could actually go and practice on. I love that kind of mixing and matching of real world environments with immersive environments as well. You can recreate, you know, what the situation is going to be. Absolutely fantastic. Gives me goosebumps thinking about all the possibilities.
If you think about it, 80% of learners say that they learn better in a blended learning environment. So I think it's important to have those pieces, whether it's some live training mixed with this type of training as well.
Lovely comments coming through. Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, so many possibilities. Kate, I know, is exploring some of these already in Nottingham, and the AI features absolutely a design there to make the process so much more easy for you. Couple of last things that we want to round up on, because I know we've only got a couple of minutes left. Please do ask any questions if you've got any other ones that you want to pop in the chat there. We have a referral program. So if you do want to sign up to be on our referral program and you love ThingLink, there's a way in which you can share it, and some rewards and some discounts. And we've heard from a few of our certified trainers on the chat today as well. We also have a ThingLink certified trainer program, and we'd love you to get involved. And that's in the email that's coming out. Dee, what if people want to get in touch with you and schedule a demo? Can they do that?
They absolutely can. There are a few different ways. One, pick up your phone. You can scan this QR code and schedule a demo directly on my calendar. Two, feel free to email me directly. Very simple email, d@thinglink.com. Not too difficult to remember, so feel free to reach out to me directly, or jump on our website and book a call.
And we'll send these out with the emails as well, so everyone can contact you. I know that you work more specifically with kind of our enterprise customers and creators, but you'll also get the details for Troy, who's in the US working with K-12 and districts. And you'll also get Andrew's details. He's working with higher education. So we would love you to connect with us as well. On here, you'll get the links to our LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, and YouTube. I'm going to bring Ivan back in now as well. Hi, Ivan, and some lovely comments coming through as well. People using it. Yeah, is there anything that you want to add that we might have missed?
I mean, we could spend an hour, a couple of hours talking about all of the possibilities, just with the AI, but also the manuals and what you can do with scenarios. Remember that this is still an editor, so whatever you get, you can always make it better. You can always customize it to your needs. You can always go back and either correct or add more context. So it's a really powerful tool, and I think we'll talk more about it in the future.
We will.
I saw that the QR code might not be working. So I'll get that fixed prior to sending out the deck afterwards.
We will. And we'll also have the URL actually in the email as well. So we'll check that. So all I can say is thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Lots of lovely comments. Thank you. Really inspiring. Thank you to Dee. Thank you to Ivan. Thank you to all of you. Do get in touch with us, and we can't wait to see you on some of our future webinars. Take care, everyone. Have a safe journey home wherever you are.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.